Welcome back to the deep dive. We are taking that mountain of articles, research, and technical docs you shared with us and building the clearest strategic roadmap we possibly can.
And today we were jumping right into 2026.
A year that, the analysts at Gartner are already calling a time of relentless change in the workplace.
Yeah, and the sources we're using today connect that high-level future of work strategy directly to the IT resilience you absolutely have to manage it.
And that connection is critical, right?
Oh, it's crucial because we're seeing this massive systemic tension brewing at the leadership level. On one side, you have CEOs setting these incredibly bold growth targets, a lot of it fueled by, the hype around generative AI.
But the reality is a lot messier.
A lot messier. I mean, Gartner points out that only about 1 in 50 AI initiatives is actually delivering genuinely transformative value.
1 in 50. Wow.
So you have this profound disconnect between the promise and the proven impact. And that disconnect creates some intense fallout. It hits morale, it exposes skills gaps, and it seriously increases organizational risk.
Which puts the chief human resources officers and the IT leaders right in the middle of it all.
Squarely in the center of managing a crisis of expectation.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to give you a clear look at those paradoxes. We're going to focus on two major intertwined threads.
First, the instability and, frankly, the human costs of this evolving human-machine workforce.
And second, the non-negotiable tech foundation. We're talking instant, zero-touch automated endpoint recovery. It's fast becoming the baseline for resilience and compliance.
Let's unpack that human side first.
Let's start with workforce instability. I mean, we've all seen the headlines about layoffs, especially in tech. Gartner has a name for this, right? They call it RAFs before reality.
It's a painful observation, but it really highlights that disconnect we just mentioned. The narrative was that AI was replacing people, en masse.
Right. That was the story.
But when you actually dig into the data, fewer than 1% of those layoffs were due to actual, measurable productivity gains from AI. The cuts were based on future hopes, not current reality.
That's a staggering gap. So if you're an employee and you see your colleagues getting laid off for an efficiency that never shows up, what does that do to the culture?
Well, it creates a massive trust deficit immediately. If you survive a layoff, now you're looking at higher workloads, more stress, and, deep skepticism about the very technology that's supposedly driving all this change.
And they're setting themselves up for a financial penalty down the road.
Exactly. The risk of having to rehire those same specialized skills they just let go, often at a much higher price, simply because the promised efficiency didn't materialize.
And this instability is just compounded by, location politics. The World Economic Forum calls it the return to office paradox.
Yeah, we've all felt this one. Corporate mandates have been surging. Pew Research showed the number of workers required back in the office jumped to 75% in late 2024.
And that's up from, 63% earlier that same year?
A huge jump. And that surge is hitting a wall of employee preference. I mean, flexibility isn't a perk anymore. It's a core requirement for talent.
So what does the data say about pushback?
Pew's data is pretty clear. Nearly half, we're talking 46% of workers said they would actively look for a new job if their employer took away the option to work from home.
So if you're a CHRO trying to keep your best people, that's a number you just can't ignore.
You can't, but, and this is where it gets tricky, the leaders pushing for these mandates aren't just making it up. They're arguing it's crucial for collaboration, for creativity.
And is there any truth to that?
There is. There's real measurable benefit. We know that spontaneous in-person interaction drives innovation. There was an MIT study in Silicon Valley, for example.
I think I saw this one.
It found that cutting in-person meetings by just 25% led to an 8% drop in patent citations. And that's not just some internal metric. That impacts IP valuation, competitive edge, future revenue.
So we have a complete catch-22. You mandate a return to the office, and you risk losing almost half your people. But you embrace fully remote work, and you might actually be stifling your own innovation.
Exactly. And even when employees choose to be fully remote, there's a hidden cost. Gallup calls it the remote work paradox.
The paradox being what?
That fully remote workers, and this is surprising, actually report higher rates of stress, loneliness, and emotional distress. It seems trading the stress of a commute for, a kind of existential stress isn't always a good bargain.
That's fascinating. So physical freedom can come at a real psychological price.
It can. And this is why McKinsey's analysis really pushes for a hybrid model. They say it's the best compromise for both mental health and innovation.
But it's not as simple as just saying, come in Tuesday and Thursday.
Not at all. They stress that hybrid only works if you nail the foundation. You need crystal clear norms, you need to make in-person time meaningful, and fundamentally you have to build trust. Without that, you just have a high-stress team that happens to be in different places.
Okay, so let's keep that context of stress and flux in mind as we transition here. Because this uncertainty isn't just about morale. It's actively eroding productivity and opening the door to new security threats.
It is. AI was sold as this great simplifier, but now we're seeing the rise of something analysts are calling work slop.
Work slop. It
That's-
sounds messy.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's low quality, often poorly contextualized AI output that employees then have to spend hours checking, verifying, and fixing.
So it's like getting a first draft that's so bad, it would have been faster to just start from scratch.
Precisely. And that's a huge hidden drain on efficiency. Productivity suffers, and, just as importantly, confidence in that multi-million-dollar tech stack just erodes.
And this reliance on AI is also creating new threats from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Especially in recruiting. The sources say we're heading for a hiring AI arms race.
It's moving from a niche problem to a real existential threat. The prediction is that candidate fraud, think hyper-realistic deepfakes, AI-generated resumes, could affect a quarter of all candidate profiles by 2028.
A quarter? How do you even trust who you're hiring at that point?
That's the question. Organizations are scrambling just to restore basic authenticity to the recruiting process.
But the internal threat insider risk, that feels even more immediate, even scarier in this AI context.
It is. Corporate espionage used to be, the stuff of movies. Now the sources say it's moving from fiction to fact. AI just makes it so much easier for a malicious insider or even a compromised employee to find and pull sensitive data at a massive scale.
Which means security can't just be about firewalls anymore.
No, it has to be embedded in the culture. It's about awareness, about rigorous compliance checks becoming second nature.
The knee-jerk reaction to all this is, just throw money at the problem. Chase the technical AI skills.
And that's proving to be extremely short-sighted. The race for pure coding skills is missing the point. The real differentiator isn't who can use the tool, but who can rethink the entire process with the tool.
So it's more about organizational change management than pure tech skills.
Absolutely. The data shows that teams that actually redesign their workflows with AI are twice as likely to exceed their revenue goals. It's a human skill, not a technical one.
Okay, let's connect the dots here. We've got a workforce that's remote, under strain, facing new AI-driven threats, and under immense pressure to stay productive. So what happens when a key employee's PC crashes? Or worse, it gets infected.
That time window to fix it is shrinking to zero. You can't have downtime. And that's where the operational reality really hits home.
The strategy has to meet the silicon, as you said.
It does. The 2026 workforce cannot be supported by traditional manual IT. You can't afford to ship a broken laptop across the country or talk a remote user through troubleshooting a dead OS.
Which is why these automated endpoint management solutions are becoming mandatory.
Exactly. The sources on Swimmage detail this perfectly. These systems are designed to solve the absolute toughest challenges automatically, whether that's getting a new remote hire up and running instantly or a full device recovery from anywhere in the world.
And the core idea here is resilience through autonomy, right? It's not like the old tools that need a tech and a good internet connection.
It's fundamentally different. The key phrases are fully automated, self-healing, and capable of functioning offline.
That offline part is huge.
It's a total game changer, especially for global companies. And let's talk about the speed, because speed is resilience. This kind of solution can rebuild a totally crashed or infected PC in under 30 minutes.
Under 30 minutes. From total catastrophe to fully functional.
Sometimes even under 15 in certain environments. It can remove ransomware or malware instantly and have the user back to work faster than their lunch break.
And this is truly zero touch for the employee. We're not just talking about restoring a few files.
No, we're talking about rebuilding the entire corporate environment. The automation handles the whole stack, the OS, all the apps, the drivers, the user profile, their settings, and the secure domain join. All of it, with no technician needing to physically touch the device.
So that offline functionality is what really enables that 2026 worker who could be anywhere.
It is. The system works whether you're on-site, remote, completely offline, or even on a slow coffee shop Wi-Fi. All the necessary files and configurations are embedded right on the device itself.
Which eliminates that huge logistical headache of shipping PCs back and forth for repair.
That costly, insecure nightmare, yes, it's gone.
Okay, so we talked about AI-powered espionage. Data security during this recovery has to be a top concern for any CISO. How do you ensure the fix isn't creating a new problem?
This is a huge part of the strategic value. The process protects data integrity through features like a Data Protect snapshot, so all the user's data, profiles, and settings are securely backed up and restored. But here's the critical detail for risk management.
What's that?
The data never leaves the device.
Okay, hang on. And you mentioned a key point about encryption. The PC is never decrypted. For a CISO, that sounds like music to their ears.
It's a massive technical advantage. The entire recovery or even an OS upgrade happens without ever decrypting the drive, regardless of the encryption type, BitLocker, McAfee, you name it. It uses what's called an encryption handler.
So the chain of custody for compliance stays completely unbroken.
Exactly. You avoid that huge risk exposure and maintain regulatory rigor from start to finish. The device is instantly compliant the moment it recovers.
And that built-in rigor must feed directly into all those compliance mandates.
It absolutely does. The whole framework is built on a zero-trust architecture. So when a device is rebuilt, it's not just fixed, it's automatically hardened with the latest security policies. That means instant alignment with SOC2, IPay, FIPS, all of it.
It turns recovery from a reactive scramble into a proactive security event.
A self-regulating security event. That's a great way to put it.
So if we pull back to the big picture, what does all this operational speed and zero-trust automation mean for the leaders we started with, the CIOs, CASOs, and CHROs trying to navigate 2026?
It fundamentally changes the game for endpoint management. It's no longer a reactive, labor-intensive cost center. It becomes a strategic asset that guarantees business continuity.
Let's talk impact. What are the numbers?
Organizations using this level of automation report slashing endpoint downtime by over 80%, but it goes way beyond just IT metrics. For the CISO, every recovered device is a secure device. For the CHRO, it means you can confidently support a global workforce.
Because the tech can support users in, 85-plus countries?
Right. New hires abroad are provisioned in minutes, not waiting weeks for a laptop.
So this automation is the technical solution to the human problem of the RTO paradox. It lets you hire the best talent wherever they are without compromising security.
You got it. It removes the geographical barrier to talent. And it's not just for disasters. It applies to all those high-friction activities like OS upgrades, PC refreshes, even M&A integration.
That M&A point is huge. Integrating two companies' IT systems is a logistical nightmare.
Usually, yeah. But if you can automatically re-image and standardize thousands of devices from an acquired company, you slash that integration timeline and get to the financial value of the merger so much faster.
And there's a great anecdote in the source material about this, the one from the federal government agency.
That's the perfect proof of concept. The CTO there said that by using this automated approach, their techs were able to replace and fully provision close to 5,000 PCs in 3 months.
5,000 PCs in 3 months.
That scale, that speed, with minimal technician touch, it just proves this works under the most intense pressure and scrutiny you can imagine.
That brings us to the end of our deep dive. I mean, we've covered a really complex and frankly anxious landscape. The human challenges of AI stress, work slop, the RTO paradox, they are all defining 2026.
But the key takeaway here is that the operational foundation for absolute resilience actually exists now, and it's defined by speed and zero-trust automation.
Yeah, this deep dive really highlights that while leaders are focused on those big, high-level trends, it's the foundational ability to instantly secure, rebuild, and restore an employee's access, wherever they are, that holds it all together.
That's the invisible technology enabling this whole new high-risk reality.
And as a final thought for you to mull over, the sources mention the emerging frontier of digital doppelgangers. We know employees might soon be compensated for training AI replicas of themselves, their digital twins, to perform complex tasks.
Which raises a critical question.
Right. If these incredibly valuable digital assets, which are basically institutional knowledge, are created on and housed on employee endpoints, doesn't the immediate automated security and recovery of that physical PC become the single most valuable high-stakes protection priority for any organization?
That is definitely something to think about.